Hello friends, and welcome to The Hanged Man in the Moon. If this is your first time here, welcome. Thank you for coming. I'm pleased to meet you. If you've been here before, thank you for returning. I'm truly honored. Friends, if you are a returning visitor, you surely know that this is my deep dive into a tarot by C.C. Zane and the Brotherhood of Light that I've been calling the Egyptian Tarot. And the mass market modern edition of the deck is named the Egyptian Tarot by the same organization, by the Brotherhood of Light, but redrawn for a more modern audience with color. And so just in case you're new here, let me tell you what I do. Every night before I go to bed, I riffle shuffle, yes, I riffle shuffle the heck out of my modern mass market color edition of the Egyptian Tarot. And it's easily replaceable, so I don't worry too much about it. I'm not precious with it. And I riffle shuffle the heck out of it, and I think of the question, what would I benefit from giving my attention to in the following day? And I draw my card. And then I pull the matching card out of my very out-of-print edition of the same deck by the Brotherhood of Light. And I look at them. I look at the similarities, but I notice the differences. There are some slight differences beyond one being in color and one being in charcoal gray and white. The sizes of the elements are sometimes different. The faces are sometimes drawn a little bit differently. One image is just completely different, but generally they're pretty much the same. And so I look at the cards, and then I go to my helper deck for this deep dive. Now, the last time I did a deep dive was into the Tarot of the Holy Light by the brilliant Christine Payne-Towler, and I used the Light Seekers Tarot for my helper deck because I was familiar with that deck, and it helped me to unpack my daily draw cards for the Tarot of the Holy Light. Now I'm more familiar with the Tarot of the Holy Light, so I'm using that for my helper deck for this deep dive into the Egyptian Tarot. And so I do a 3-card spread. The first card is the significance of my daily draw card for me the following day. The second card is the challenge, either positive or negative. And the third card is the advice. Now, typical 3-card spread, significance, challenge, advice. And then I go to sleep and I wake up and I live my day. And at the end of the day, I come back and I analyze the cards, I analyze the spreads, I see how things interact with each other, how the astrology speaks to each other. And then I record this video, which is what I'm doing now. So friends, I've got the daily draw card all ready for us. Let me show you that card right now. You saw that the daily draw card for me today, in both versions, both the color and the charcoal gray and white, was the 10 of Wands. Yeah, and they're basically the same card. I mean, the face of the lion, there are lions on both cards. Yeah, let's see. In the charcoal gray and white one, this is a lion, and then there's the lion up there. And at the bottom, what do we see? We see another lion and we see a wand. A very simple card. The sizes of the wands are slightly different, but except for that, this is the same card. And it should be a really, really happy card for me, although it's the 10 of Wands, because it is my sign. I am Leo. My sun is Leo. So here we have the 10 of Wands, which points to Leo, which is the domicile of the sun, from which these fixed fire's vital attributes enter our world. Yeah. Fixed fire, that's me. Yeah, so I'm at my solar sign, my sun planet, my sun sign is beaming right into my chart and into my day and into the question that I asked of the Tarot, which was, what would I benefit from giving my attention to the following day? Giving attention to my basic good kitty characteristics is the first thing that pops to my head. And if you have been following along with me on this journey, you'll probably remember that I got this card just about a week ago, yeah, on February the 2nd. This is February the 12th, so 10 days ago, I got this card as my daily draw card. And what does it mean, really? It's an invention or discovery, new business methods, good attributions, but not something that I would think for myself as meaningful for me for today, a change in status, alteration of working conditions. It's Sunday here. That didn't seem like it would ring very true. Unconventional trends affect reputation. Okay. A variety of personal activities. I wasn't expecting to do very much. A couple of things, but maybe not, but not that much. Today was my stay-at-home day. So I did some home stuff. Maybe a variety, maybe. The new replaces the old. Take initiative to maintain balance. A change in personality. Well, I wasn't hoping for that. Unexpected honor through the arts or sciences would have been nice, but like I said, it's a stay-at-home day today. Outdated principles applied to modern methods. Okay, that could be possible. Effect of automation. Yeah, I don't think so. So there are a couple of things in there that seemed like they could possibly be significant for me the following day, that following day being today. So, interesting card. Had this one before. And so like I said, I pulled my 3 cards. I did my 3-card spread, the significance, challenge, and advice. Let me show you those cards right now. You saw the cards from left to right were the 8 of Swords, reversed, Judgment, reversed, and then the 10 of Swords, upright, but still the 10 of Swords, right? So this 3-card spread didn't look all that joyful to me, to tell you the truth, when I saw it. When I saw it last night. Now the 8 of Swords is not as dire in the Tarot of the Holy Light as it is in perhaps the Golden Dawn decks, the Rider-Waite-Smith, the Smith-Waite deck, for example. And all of the decks that are based on that I believe it is a system. Yeah? For me, the Rider-Waite family, the Rider-Waite based decks, they are a system within the system of Tarot. Yeah? I know there's somebody that I really respect in the Tarot community, and they are expressing difficulty with the use of the word system when it is regard to things like Marseille, Thoth, RWS. I would add the Continental Tarot as systems, because they want to emphasize that Tarot is a system. And I say, yes, Tarot is a system. There are 78 cards, and those 78 cards, there can be more, but to me, there should be 78 cards, and at least 22 of them should be something like a major arcana. Yeah, with more archetypal ideas depicted on them. There should be another grouping of 40 cards broken into 4 suits of 10 cards, and those should be somehow related, hopefully, to the 4 elements, or 4 winds, or 4 of something. Yeah, and they don't have to be swords, cups, what do we call them? Wands or discs. And the discs don't have to be earth, and the swords don't have to be air, but there should be that set of 4 broken into 4 groups, 40 broken into 4 groups of 10. And then on top of that, with those same systems of 4, there should be an additional 4 cards representing kinds of people for each grouping. So whatever the suit A is, there should be 4 people related to that suit A. Okay, it doesn't have to be people, they could be animals too, but there should be the additional of this, the more social aspects of life. So that is a system. Yes, I totally accept that. I totally agree. No problem. But that doesn't mean that there can't be systems within a system. right? Right? For example, we live in an ecosystem. We are part of the ecosystem. I am part of the ecosystem. But within this being here, there are other systems. There's a circulatory system. There is an immune system. There are systems within systems. So for me, saying that, yes, the tarot is one system, and there is a system called Rider-Waite-Smith, Rider-Waite, which is part of that system. And there is another system which is kind of Thothi, which is part of that system. And those two systems are a little different because they associate cards differently. They overlay different meanings. They work this overall set of cards differently. There's a Marseille system, which works the whole set differently. And that Marseille system can be part of the continental tarot system, but we might even want to separate those. I mean, there are different ways of conceiving them. That's not a problem, I don't think. So, for me, this is part of a tradition within the continental tarot system, the Egyptian tarot. Another deck of cards, which is part of the continental tarot system, though it's a very modern deck, is the Tarot of the Holy Light. And why did I hop on that? Well, I wanted to mention that this is a different system than the Rider-Waite-Smith. The astrological associations are different. The order of the majors is slightly different. The idea of where the Fool should be is different. Where we would put the Hebrew letters on the cards, not that the location on the cards, but where would Aleph be? Aleph is not the Fool, Aleph is the Magus here. So there are differences. They're different enough for them to be a different system, I believe. And so this Eight of Swords, being in a different system, is not as, what was the word I used? Is not as perilous, perhaps, as the Eight of Swords in the Rider-Waite-Smith system. Okay, let's get back to the reading. But still, in reverse, there are some be carefuls attached to it. And so what do we see? We see these 8 swords crossed over each other. And if you'll notice, one of the swords has a drop of blood on it and is dripping a little bit of blood from it. Let me see if I can show it to you right here. It's this one right there. Do you see it? Can you see it? Yeah. So flesh has been pricked. There has been wounding in this card. But it's a beautiful card, this beautiful lattice. The plants on either side of the swords, they are growing with vim and vigor, if you ask me. Now the sun is above, the moon is below. We got this beautiful guiding star beaming through the moon. Beautiful card. And you'll see at the bottom, we have Gemini and, what is it called? Saturn. Why do we have Gemini and Saturn? Well, because the Eight of Swords in this system points to the Aquarius decanate of Gemini and its subruler Saturn, from which the fixed aspects... Okay, now I need to go back and say that again, because it's been pointed out that, and very well pointed out, that I sometimes want to say Aquarius and Sagittarius comes out. So now I'm unsure of myself. So let me go back and say that again. The Eight of Swords points to the Aquarius decanate of Gemini and its subruler Saturn, from which the fixed aspect of mutable air vital attributes enter our world. Yeah? So Gemini has 3 decanates, 3 groups of 10 degrees. And this is the 3rd decanate, being Aquarius. So this is the Aquarius decanate of Gemini. And Aquarius is the domicile of Saturn. So Saturn is very happily beaming through the Aquarius room of Gemini's house into our natal charts, into the world, into the question that we're asking of the tarot. And Saturday is the one of the cuttings of things, the creatings of borders, the creator of rules, and the exclusions and inclusions of things. The one who sets the rules, sets the standards, who sets the who is acceptable and who is not. Yeah. But because we got this card in reverse, we also have the idea of a fall. Yeah. In an upright position, this card would have an exaltation. But here we have a fall, and the fall is Mercury in Pisces. So Mercury is weakened in Pisces. Yeah, the exaltation has leapt out of my head. But Mercury is in its fall right now, in this card, reversed. And we got this card on the 28th of January, which was the last day of my winter camp. So it kind of made sense, as it showed up upright at another time, but it showed up reverse on that day. And it made sense because it was an ending of things and a new beginning, right? It was an ending of a 3-week big project, and I was beginning the next phase of my life. Because for those 3 weeks, my life was 99% devoted to that camp. So, coming up today to unpack the 10 of Wands was a little bit surprising for me last night. So what does it mean? Well, I told you what it points to. It points to the fixed aspect of mutable air, vital attributes entering our world. Gemini being mutable, Aquarius being fixed. So we've got fixedness entering through the let's move on energy of Gemini. So our emotions might be challenged in this card. And so we're asked to manage our emotions and avoid melting into a subjective pool, according to the guidebook. It's a wonderful thing to say. Avoid melting into a subjective pool. This is a challenge that could draw blood. Now, there's a wounding possible here. Remember this, but remember, this star is now above, right? The star continues to shine even in reversal, so don't give up. It's possible that mind manipulation of in-crowds and out-crowds, that Saturnian cuttings of things, in-crowds and out-crowds could be possible here. But on the upside, Mercury in Pisces is not all that bad. My moon is Pisces, by the way. So Mercury entering Pisces has the idea of minds being opened and expanded, but that expansion can be difficult to communicate. Yeah, Mercury enters this realm of of universal expansion in Pisces, and experiences thoughts that could be too big for words. It asks us to, again, pay attention to feelings, and also our intuition. Now, Pisces is an intuitive sign, right? Potential for missing critical details, though, is possible. We might be so immersed in this expansiveness that the minutiae, the details might escape us. So, good thing to pay attention to. And it could be difficult to find words for the feelings that we're having or the intuitive hits that we're getting. But this is a good day for daydreaming in the positive sense. The daydreaming of the creation of intention, if that makes sense. Not a little bit of wandering daydreaming could be helpful too, but then we could bring that into some sort of a focus of a daydreaming, focused daydreaming. Does that make sense? So, I think unpacking this eventually made some great sense. So what was the challenge? The challenge was, oh my God, judgment reversed. Now, judgment reversed, that's not such a bad thing, frankly. What do we see? We see very similar to other decks, yeah? We've got the angel up on top. We've got 3 figures below. One of them looks like they're not going to rise. 2 of them look like they're in the the pose of rising. Yeah, we see this blue temple-like structure in the center of the card. There's a dome of the night sky over that, but above that dome of the night sky, there is a sun with the Holy Spirit, Sophia, flying above, calling us to waking up and to rising to our connection with the infinite, with the divine. And you can see just barely here that the association here is Saturn. So judgment points to Saturn, in which resides both, I'm sorry, grammar. So this card points to Saturn, which resides in both Capricorn and Aquarius. Capricorn and Aquarius are butted up against each other, right? And Saturn lives in both of them. And this is Aquarius, yes, from which these cardinal earth and fixed air's vital attributes enter our world. So we've got Aquarius back in this card. But it's reversed again in this card. So we had the Aquarius house of Gemini in the Eight of Swords. Here we just got plain old Aquarius, which I think emphasizes the significance of this card for me. And in reverse, what is this saying? Well, before we get to that, when we look at major arcana cards, especially in this deck, I like to think of the numerical associations as well. The number and letter associations. So, for example, the Hebrew letter for this card is what? It is Resh. Resh, it points to the head, like this thing, yeah? It points to the beginnings of a new cycle, but it also points to abject poverty. Yeah, the Resh letter looks like this, like somebody bowed over, like be bowed over, and that association is with poverty and servitude. So we've got both ideas in that one letter, both the head, the beginnings of things, and poverty. And because it's in Hebrew, this letter holds the number 200. It points to, again, a divergence. One side either wickedness or the other side being higher consciousness. I mean, talk about extremes on a spectrum, right? When we think of the rune associated with the number 20, we think of manaz, which looks kind of like an M with two extra bars. Not this kind of bar, but this kind of bar. And manaz is what? It's destiny, self-knowledge, spiritual power, intelligence, foresight, and creativity, divine order and awareness. All things very well associated with the judgment card, right? But also depression and self-deception. And I think that might be what we can think of when we see this card in reverse. We might think of that self-deception, depression. We might think of the bowed head of poverty. Hopefully not wickedness, but I suppose that would be possible here too. And Saturn here in this card, what is Saturn's role? Saturn's role here is to shatter the structures that are used up, that are flimsy, that are unusable. The body when it's ready to die, for example. Saturn discorporates, removes from the body, discorporates everything with a limited time-space identity. When we get too entrenched in this physical experience of life in this physical universe, which we came here deliberately to experience, yes, but when we are so immersed in it, it's time to crack open the shell, like the tower perhaps, or this card in reverse. And so the Kabbalistic attribute for Saturn is, interestingly, peace. Why is it peace? Because all discord is shattered and the only thing that remains is the one pure harmonic tone, which is that tone which we were which we are, that eternal being that we are, is that one pure harmonic tone. And it's only that is left. And the rest of the disharmony, the chaos of the accretions of our physical lives are shattered by Saturn. Does that make sense? And so I'd like to read directly from the book for the reversal of this card, because it's important, I think. The only warning attached to this card is that the price of responding to this call may be to lose your former self. Yeah, the price of responding to this call may be to lose your former self. I continue. Anything else less than full commitment is inappropriate given the opportunity being offered. Yeah, you've got to commit 100%. What stands to be gained is more worthy than what would be lost in the larger scheme of things. If you can't give a yes to this energy when it appears, then be truthful with yourself and let it go completely. The greatest sin in response to judgment stems not from rejecting it, but from being oblivious to it. So you need to be aware. You need to commit to your response to it, either yes or no, and own that response. That's what this card is saying in reverse, I believe. Which makes absolute sense to me. So, what was the advice card for me? The advice card, Ten of Swords. I don't know of a deck sometimes the Ten of Swords in Marseille isn't so bad, frankly. It can actually be very good, I think. So the Ten of Swords in Rider-Waite-Smith is not a bad card. The Ten of Swords in the Thoth deck is not a bad card. This is not a bad card, but it can hurt sometimes. It can really feel like it hurts sometimes, right? And what do we get here? We get this beautiful image of let's see, is it the androgyne? Yes, it is the androgyne. Yeah, the androgyne. One body, two heads, male head and female head, joined together on what looks like a bier. And there are 10 swords sticking into them inside of an oval frame. And right beside them, the sun is beaming forth with a rainbow, which is interesting. Yeah, and so it's not actually the sun that's beaming forth. The sun is there. We've got this zodiacal symbols around the sun. And in front of the sun, there's like an ampule. And the sun is beaming through the ampule or a crystal, and that is creating this rainbow effect, beaming through, right? And at the bottom, we see what? We see Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini. Aquarius, yes, Aquarius. So what does that mean? It means that the Ten of Swords points to Libra, Aquarius, and Gemini, which are the domiciles of Venus, Saturn, and Mercury, from which these cardinal, fixed, and immutable heirs, vital attributes enter our world. Now, we've got all of the heirs pouring into our world, both cardinal, fixed, and mutable. From this grouping of planets, of Venus, of beauty, and joinings of things. Saturn, the splitting of things. And Mercury, the bouncing around of things, the learning of things, the communicating of things. So it's all this, it's very diverse energy that's beaming in through, and that's, I think, portrayed beautifully here in that rainbow pouring out of that crystal or ampule up in the sky. So, while this card is very dark in the Smith-Waite, here the sun gives light into every corner. The sun is beaming light into every corner of our discomfort and pain. And you'll notice there's a tear. Oh, that's right, that's it. That's how it's that it's not an ampule, it's not a crystal, it's a tear. Yeah, a tear. Yeah, it's a big old tear. The divine tear is pouring forth from the eye of the sun. So why does the divine weep for us? Why do we suffer in a loving world, loving and abundant world? Well, those are good questions. Why? And then how does this tear give us the rainbow of hope, knowledge, inspiration, potential, invention? Invention shines forth from this tear. Yeah. The rainbow is also the diversity of human experience that we have, and a diversity of options available to us. So this card is saying that yes, it's over now, but could be loss or it could be completion. So let go and move on. Is the life of this androgen over? Do we identify with the eternal nature of the self, or do we identify with the remnants of the day? Those are important questions to ask ourselves, and I think that those are important questions for me today. Today began, frankly, uneventfully. I woke up. I had breakfast pretty much ready to go last night, so I woke up, put on a pot of coffee, and turned on a couple of programs that I like to watch on Sundays. I don't watch much regular TV, but there are 3 programs that I like to watch. One is a travel program that I watch on Saturday mornings. One is it's called Animal Kingdom in translation, but it's not that Animal Kingdom. It's about animals, usually pets like dogs or cats, and sometimes some more exotic pets, and the problems that they have with their homes. They might be stressed out by neighbors, they might be stressed out by other animals that they're living with, or they might have had trauma and they've come into a home and they're not healing from their trauma. Sometimes they go into animal welfare issues, like the way the animals are kept in what are called animal cafes here, where people can go. It's a coffee shop where people can go and some pet cats and pet dogs, but sometimes there are more exotic animals there, and sometimes those animals are not cared for properly. So this program is all about animals in society and as they interact with human beings. So I like watching that. And there's another program that's been on the air equally as long, more than 15 or 20 years, I think, called Surprise, where they tell you mysterious stories from around the world. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. So I watched that. I watched those things as I ate my breakfast and made my coffee. And then I got some interesting news. And right now I'm still in a little bit of shock over it. And I don't want to get into too much actual detail. However, this news is good, I guess, but also scares me. I've been burdened with a situation for several years. And yes, there have been benefits to it, but mostly this situation that I've been in has been a great burden to my moving on and forward in life. And I discovered that there is a way for this burden to be lifted, but it's going to eat up almost all of my emergencies, my savings. Now I've got some money that is set aside for retirement. I'm not touching that, but I've got a big chunk of money in the bank, which is my just in case money, just in case things go south, just in case I lose a job or I have to move back to the United States suddenly. It's a good chunk of change, and it's freeing myself from this burden is going to take away almost all of that. And so that scares me, because my income right now has been decreasing that the amount of money in the bank that I have in reserve slowly over time. Because when I moved to my new job here, I took a huge cut in pay. I took a cut in pay that dropped me down to almost 1/3, about between 1/3 and half of my previous salary. And living expenses here are actually more than they were where I was living before. So my pay has been not enough to cover everything that I like to do. So my resources, my spare money has been going down bit by bit by bit by bit, including the money I had to spend to move to an entirely new city. And so this removal of that large chunk of what remains of that scares me for several reasons. One, I feel like I've lost a security base. Now, I suppose I could build that back up again. I've got to know that, right? I have to know that for myself. But right now, because it's today that I got this news, and the money is not gone now, but I got the news. Today, I'm still in a little bit of shock and like, oh my God, I'm going to do this, but what does that mean? You know? But that burden has also drained money from me a little bit, I think, as well. So, 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. I don't know. But no, I do know. Okay, no, I do know. I do know because of these cards, right? What are these cards telling me? Well, the 10 of Wands, what did that tell me? It told me that the new replaces the old. That is the order of the day. Take initiative to maintain my balance. I've got to maintain my own balance here, which is what I'm trying to do. I lost it a little bit for a couple of hours, but now I'm here. I'm back. I'm maintaining my balance here. The 8 of Swords is telling me, yes, there's a challenge that will draw blood, but I don't want to dissolve into a subjective puddle. Right? Remember, the star continues to shine even in reversal, so don't give up. Possible, don't give up. This card is also telling me what? The rainbow of hope, knowledge, inspiration. While the card is very dark, the sun gives light to every corner. It's over now. Is it loss or is it completion? And it's time to move on, right? And so the challenge here is to make a bloody decision. Decide and move on with it. This really is the call to new life. And it's not a one day done event. This is going to be about a month in its processing, I think. But we'll see. We'll see. Pray for me. But the cards really I did not think that they were speaking to me, at least. Let me revise what I just said. I didn't think they were speaking something that would be so clearly evident. I didn't think that they were saying something that would turn out to be so clear and evident the next day. But this time they really were. You can see that, right? You can see how this message is very, very clear for me for today. And it's a unified message. It's not random, it's not like I had to stretch to pull the elements together. It's a really clear message, I think. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. So things are going to change, I think, for me. Not like here. I'm continuing this series, and I'll continue my practice with tarot, and I'm going to continue living in this apartment. I'm going to continue with my job, but there are other things that are going to change for me, clearly, which is interesting, which is Interesting. May you live in interesting times is the curse, right? Hopefully this is not a curse, this is a blessing. That's what I think. So let me know in the comments below. And if you are still here with me, hit that thumbs up button so you'll put a smile on my face and you'll put a smile on YouTube's face and it'll draw more eyes to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed and hit that alarm bell so you get notifications of when I upload videos. I'm nearing the end of this deep dive, but I will continue with other videos like I did in the past. And yes, if you want to get these decks, like they really are educational. They are expanding my practice. They are expanding my ability to read and to think of and to understand tarot. So I highly recommend them. I recommend this deck by Christine Payne-Towler. And a link to her site is below in the description box. The color version of this deck is available on Amazon and at most bookstores, and there's a link to an Amazon page below. I don't get any money if you use it, just there for your convenience. And also, if you want a reading from me, my email address is below too, thehangedmaninthemoon@gmail.com. Send me an email and I'll get you a reading. I swear. So friends, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your patience and for joining me on this journey. And as always, I wish you love, joy, well-being, and pure awareness. Thank you.